Battle through the heavens. Xiao Yan sighed in relief within his heart after hearing Tang Zhen's words. A joy that was difficult to hide surfaced on his face. He cupped his hands to him and solemnly said, "Thank you, Valley Chief Tang." Tang Zhen waved his hand and replied, "You have relied on your own ability. The old me has provided very little help this time around." The 10 exchange test this time around was something that Xiao Yan had relied on his own abilities to pass. Honestly, he had provided very little help. Valley Chief Tang is too courteous. If not for you, it is likely that this test would not have even existed. Xiao Yan grinned. He had quite a good impression of Tang Zhen. This person possessed an unfathomable strength, but he did not carry the aloofness that an elite Dou Zun possessed. He could be considered much more approachable compared to Lei Zunjia from the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Tang Zhen smiled, but did not argue with Xiao Yan on this topic. He turned his head and looked to the second elder in front of the hall. With an indifferent voice, he asked, "Second elder, Xiao Yan can be considered to have successfully passed this test. Do you have anything else you wish to say regarding this?" The second elder let out a bitter laugh after hearing this. He immediately sighed and nodded. Since Xiao Yan has passed the test according to the agreement, the old me will naturally no longer say anything. We will listen to Valley Chief decision. Tang Zhen's face became a little warmer after seeing that this second elder did not say anything else. His eyes looked once around him as he commanded, "Everyone should disperse." Wu Zhen stood in the messy empty ground. His expression was a little volatile. A moment later, he could only swing his sleeves unwillingly, give Xiao Yan a vicious stare, and cease being involved in this matter. Tang Zhen's eyes landed on Xiao Yan after seeing that there was no objection. He smiled and said, "Follow me." He turned around and led the way into the deep regions of the valley after instructing him. Tang Hui'er quickly followed. Behind them, Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before hurriedly catching up. The Skyfire 3 mysterious change is a top-tier secret technique of the Burning Flame Valley. Hence, it is usually stored in the Dou Technique Hall within the valley. Tang Hui'er and Xiao Yan followed behind Tang Zhen. She informed Xiao Yan with a smile as they walked. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded to Tang Hui'er. Xiao Yan, just what Dou Technique class does the fire lotus that you used earlier belong to? Why is it that its strength is so terrifying? Tang Hui'er was a little impatient after seeing that Xiao Yan did not wish to say more. She dawdled for a moment before finally inquiring. Tang Zhen, who was walking in front, also listened in when Tang Hui'er's question was asked. Xiao Yan smiled. He casually replied, "That fire lotus is something that I created using the heavenly flame. Therefore, it is quite strong. However, this thing is too exhausting to use." The angry Buddha lotus flame was Xiao Yan's trump card. Back then, he had relied on his hot-blooded head and some luck to create this angry Buddha lotus flame. After so many years of perfection, the strength of the angry Buddha lotus flame had undoubtedly become more impressive. Moreover, the effects that it achieved were things that no other Dou techniques Xiao Yan practiced could match. Hence, Xiao Yan did not wish to reveal too much about it to an outsider. Even though he had a good impression about Tang Hui'er and Tang Zhen, the matter of the angry Buddha lotus flame had too many implications. Therefore, it was impossible for him to easily reveal it to another. Tang Hui'er might be a little dissatisfied with Xiao Yan's reply, but she was not a fool. Immediately, she ceased asking more questions. After letting out a lovely laughter, she changed the conversation topic. "This place is our Burning Flame Valley Dou Technique Hall. Usually, people are forbidden from entering it," Tang Hui'er explained to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan slightly tilted his head. His eyes swept over the forest around without anyone noticing. He could vaguely sense that this place possessed a concealed aura. Clearly, they should be the guards of the Dou Technique Hall. Follow me. The Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change is a top-tier secret technique of my Burning Flame Valley. Therefore, only at this place will one obtain the most perfect inheritance. Tang Zhen waved his hand at Xiao Yan. After which, he walked into that enormous hall. Xiao Yan quickly followed. 3 figures leaped down from the top of the building when Xiao Yan's group stopped in front of the Dou Technique Hall. After which, they turned into 3 red-robed elders who bowed to Tang Zhen. Elders, please open the Dou Technique Hall. Tang Zhen waved his hand and faintly requested them. The surface of the large door immediately formed tons of intense ripples after the red glows landed on it. Only then did the large hall emit a creaking sound as it slowly opened. Tang Zhen took the lead and strode in after seeing the door opened. Xiao Yan and Tang Hui'er quickly followed. The surroundings became a lot dimmer after they entered the hall. Row after row of neatly arranged, tall shelves entered their eyes. The wooden shelves were filled with many scrolls of various colors. However, Tang Zhen did not remain for long in this place. Instead, he walked up the stairs. This hall had a total of 3 floors. Xiao Yan's group climbed to the 3rd story before they came to a stop. The 3rd story of the Dou Technique Hall was not very large in size. At a glance, it appeared quite empty. The 4 corners of this floor were covered in a dense glow. The space outside these glows was distorted. Clearly, all the things in this place had an additional special protection added to them. Do not randomly touch the things here. Otherwise, there will be some trouble. Tang Zhen reminded Xiao Yan before walking to the middle of this level. There was a red glow lingering there. Tang Zhen's 10 fingers swiftly pressed on the glow and it gradually disappeared. Finally, it revealed a head-sized red-colored crystal ball. The crystal ball was suspended in midair. It was completely red in color. At a glance, one could see that the crystal was filled with a countless number of mysterious seals which gave it an extremely mysterious appearance. This is my Burning Flame Valley's inheritance crystal. Not only is the complete training method of the Skyfire 3 mysterious flame within it but also some improvements and experiences of the Burning Flame Valley's chief over the generations, Tang Zhen spoke with a faint smile. Thank you very much. Xiao Yan inhaled a breath of air, cupped his hands to Tang Zhen, and spoke in a solemn manner. You have saved Hui'er's life. This can be considered a little reward from the old me. After all, the old me only has this one daughter. Tang Zhen waved his hand as he said, all right, place your soul into it and you will be able to obtain the most complete Skyfire 3 mysterious change inheritance. However, this place is a forbidden ground of my Burning Flame Valley. Hence, the old me will remain guard here. Xiao Yan did not have any objections. The Dou Technique Hall was an extremely important place for any faction. Tang Zhen had already done him a great favor by allowing him to enter this place. Xiao Yan slowly walked forward. He let out a gentle breath and gently placed both of his hands on the fiery red crystal ball. After which, he gradually shut his eyes. His spiritual strength surged from him and was inserted into the crystal ball. The spiritual strength had just entered the crystal ball when Xiao Yan's body suddenly trembled. A rumbling explosion was emitted within his head. An enormous amount of information continuously surged into Xiao Yan's head like a tide. This information was so large that Xiao Yan felt his head become a little dazzled despite his ability. However, Xiao Yan, who had his eyes shut, did not notice the extremely bright crimson color that was being emitted from the crystal ball the moment his spiritual strength entered it. The intensity of the glow caused the entire Dou Technique Hall to vaguely radiate a fiery red glow. Tang Zhen and Tang Hui'er, who were beside Xiao Yan, became stunned because of this change. A moment later, they faced one another and inhaled a breath of cool air. This so-called inheritance crystal ball also possessed a kind of testing effect when transferring the secret technique. A person with extremely great talent for practicing this secret technique would be able to cause the crystal ball to emit a glow. Back then, Tang Hui'er had also caused this change. However, when compared to the glow that Xiao Yan had created, it was just like the difference between a firefly and a bright moon. No wonder. Tang Hui'er was stunned for a moment before she suddenly muttered. She had just recalled Xiao Yan telling her that he felt that the Skyfire 3 mysterious change was extremely suitable for him. Back then, she had thought that he had randomly spouted those words. However, looking at it now, this Skyfire 3 mysterious change did appear like it was tailor-made for him. The surprised look in Tang Zhen's eyes also gradually disappeared. A regretful expression replaced it. Ugh, if this person was a disciple of my Burning Flame Valley, it is likely that my Burning Flame Valley would have produced another shocking individual like the Burning Flame Ancestor back then. Burning Flame Ancestor. Tang Hui'er by the side was slightly startled when she heard Tang Zhen muttering to himself. After which, she asked with some uncertainty. Tang Zhen smiled at Tang Hui'er's uncertainty. He glanced at Xiao Yan, who had sunk deep into the inheritance world of the crystal ball. After which, he placed both of his hands behind him and looked to the ceiling of the hall. A respectful expression was revealed in his eyes. Burning Flame Ancestor is the founder of our Burning Flame Valley. However, due to the great amount of time that has passed, many people have forgotten about this peak expert who once shook the entire continent. Tang Hui'er involuntarily clicked her tongue when she heard this. It was also the first time that she had heard of this so-called Burning Flame Ancestor. It seemed that the gap in time was indeed a large one. Is the Burning Flame Ancestor very strong? Tang Hui'er asked somewhat curiously. She seemed to be extremely interested in this legendary figure. He's more than strong, according to what I know. There are 5 ultimate experts in the Dou Qi continent during that era. These 5 people represented the peak strength of the Dou Qi continent. The Burning Flame Ancestor was one of them. The 5 of them possessed mysterious and great power. It is rumored that they were just one step away from the legendary Dou Di class, Tang Zhen slowly said. His voice contained an admiration for the experts during that era. Dou Di. A shocked expression appeared on Tang Hui'er's pretty face. This title did not require any decoration. It alone possessed an endless amount of pressure, causing everyone to turn into tiny ants in the face of this term. Who are the 4 remaining ultimate experts? All of them are currently the true peak-level factions. Tang Hui'er's face was surprised. Immediately, she asked in a strange manner, what about the other person? Which faction is he from? Could it be the Flower sect or the Profound Sky sect? Tang Zhen slowly shook his head. There was also some uncertainty between his brows as he replied, this person does not seem to belong to any top factions in the Central Plains today. However, I still have a clear memory of his name because, according to the records in the ancestral books, this expert and the Burning Flame Ancestor had quite a good relationship. It is rumored that this Skyfire 3 mysterious change had been created by him. The Skyfire 3 mysterious change was created by that expert. Tang Hui'er's small mouth immediately widened in shock when she heard this. Her face was filled with surprise. Clearly, she seemed to be in a state of disbelief. The ancestral books record it like this. Due to it being too long ago, it is difficult to determine if it is true or false. Tang Zhen nodded as he replied. What is the name of this mysterious and ultimate expert? Tang Hui'er became more curious as she hurriedly asked. Tang Zhen fondled his beard. He thought for a moment before he said somewhat uncertainly, he seems to be called Xiao Xian. Ugh, It has been many years since I read those ancestral books. I cannot remember his name too clearly. During that era, the Burning Flame Valley was not weaker than those peak factions like the Hall of Souls. Unfortunately, no one like the ancestor has appeared in the Burning Flame Valley after that. Hence, its reputation has become far inferior to those factions like the Hall of Souls. Tang Jin sighed when he finished speaking. Xiao Xian. Tang Hui'er muttered the words in her mouth. Suddenly, she quietly glanced at Xiao Yan, who had his eyes shut by the side. She smiled and said, Xiao Yan's surname is also Xiao. Could he be related to this elder Xiao Xian? Tang Jin was startled when he heard this. He immediately burst out laughing. There are as many people in this world who have the surname Xiao as there are hairs on a cow. Based on what you say, would it not mean that all these people are related to this elder Xiao? Tang Hui'er stuck out her tongue. She had only randomly spoke. Naturally, she would not be so serious. However, aren't you overestimating Xiao Yan by comparing him with that burning flame ancestor of our Burning Flame Valley? Although Tang Hui'er had quite a good impression of Xiao Yan, her heart still felt that there was too much of a gap between Xiao Yan and the expert from that era. Cuckoo, you should not underestimate him. I have the feeling that this Xiao Yan is not a simple person. I have nothing but praise for that heavenly flame fire lotus of his. Moreover, he is only around 20 or so, yet he possesses many achievements in terms of alchemy and Dou Qi. Such a talent is something that even you are far inferior to. Tang Jin's eyes turned to Xiao Yan, who had his eyes shut. The regret in his eyes once again surged as he sighed. Such a talented young person is not someone from my Burning Flame Valley. How can it not cause one to feel regretful? Tang Jin let out a long sigh and ceased saying anything. He waved his sleeves and blew the dust on the ground away. After which, he sat down cross-legged and planned to wait on this spot until Xiao Yan awoke. Tang Hui'er could only sit down and accompany him when she saw him. A day had passed after the two of them had sat down. Xiao Yan's body remained as still as a statue throughout the day without making the slightest movement. If his breathing hadn't remained consistent, it was likely that even Tang Jin would have thought that some accident had occurred during the inheritance. The fiery red crystal ball was continuously emitting a bright red glow in the spacious hall, lighting up the hall until it appeared like it was daytime within. Xiao Yan still maintained with both his hands extended beside the crystal ball. However, his skin also appeared to release a vague red glow at this moment, causing it to appear extremely mysterious. Why is he still not done? Back then, my inheritance only lasted an hour. Tang Hui'er supported her cheeks with her hands while looking at the unmoving Xiao Yan. Finally, she could not resist opening her mouth to ask. Back then, you were lazy and did not absorb all of the experiences and improvements of the ancestors within the crystal ball, yet Xiao Yan has chosen to absorb all of them, Tang Jin faintly explained. Once I have digested all the experience that I have absorbed, I will still be able to continue absorbing. Tang Hui'er extended her tongue and laughed. Ugh, I really don't know what to do with you. Your talent is also extremely great. If you were a little more serious, the position of the Valley Chief of the Burning Flame Valley will definitely belong to you in the future. Moreover, with sufficient strength, even those old fellows whom you dislike will not be able to nag you. Tang Jin shook his head and helplessly teased. Aye. Tang Hui'er hurriedly nodded, seemingly afraid that Tang Jin would continue his nagging. Qi. Tang Jin was even more helpless when he saw this. He shook his head before his expression suddenly changed. He turned to the crystal ball and saw the red glow swiftly disappear. Now, Xiao Yan's body was covered in a red glow. A moment later, both of his eyes trembled and were slowly opened. Is he awake? Tang Jin hurriedly stood up, smiled, and asked when he saw Xiao Yan open his eyes. Xiao Yan's body remained still in the same spot. It seemed as though he was organizing the large amount of information within his head. This continued for a moment before his entire body shivered. A life force surged into his dull eyes. His gaze slid to Tang Zhen as he grinned and nodded. Immediately, he cupped his hands together and respectfully said, "Valley Chief Tang, thank you for your generous gift." Xiao Yan was clearly aware that he benefited by accepting such an inheritance. Moreover, his relationship with Tang Zhen was not considered a very good one. However, the things that Tang Zhen had done for him were indeed worthy of this formal thanks. Tang Zhen merely waved his hands randomly in the face of Xiao Yan's thanks. He smiled and said, "The complete training method of the Skyfire 3 mysterious flame should be completely in your head, right? I have finally obtained it." Xiao Yan's heart was also exceptionally excited. With this Skyfire 3 mysterious change, his fighting strength would swiftly rise. The Skyfire 3 mysterious change might be able to allow you to raise your fighting strength significantly for a short period of time. However, the energy that you obtain will be exceptionally wild and violent. You should be careful when controlling it. Tang Zhen reminded. Xiao Yan nodded. This was something that he was already aware of. After all, he had practiced the first change of the Skyfire 3 mysterious change for many years. He was already able to control the energy it created very well. "Since you have already obtained the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, let's leave the hall first," Tang Zhen smiled. After which, he led the way down the hall. Xiao Yan and Tang Hui'er followed close behind. Xiao Yan's mood was joyful as he left the Dou Qi hall and felt the fresh air blowing on him. "Valley Chief Tang, I have already disturbed you for quite a number of days. Today, Xiao Yan shall leave. If there is anything you need help with in the future, you can come and look for me." Since the Skyfire 3 mysterious change was already in his hands, there was naturally no longer any reason to remain in the Burning Flame Valley. Therefore, Xiao Yan immediately cupped his hands together and spoke. "Are you leaving?" Tang Zhen had the intention of getting Xiao Yan to stay, but when he heard this, he could only sigh in the end. He nodded and said, "I think that you should have some important business. The old me shall not insist, but you must remember not to leak the Skyfire 3 mysterious change." "Cuckoo, Valley Chief Tang, please rest assured that Xiao Yan is not someone who does not understand the situation." Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. He naturally understood such rules. Tang Zhen smiled. After which, he patted Xiao Yan's shoulder and said, "If you have time in the future, you can come to my Burning Flame Valley as a guest. As long as I, Tang Zhen, am still the Valley Chief of the Burning Flame Valley, you, Xiao Yan, will be a VIP in my Burning Flame Valley." Xiao Yan let out a smile in the face of Tang Zhen's good intention. The two cupped their hands to each other. After which, their figures rose into the air, and they swiftly flew toward the exit of the Burning Flame Valley. Xiao Yan did not pause for long after leaving the Burning Flame Valley. Instead, he rushed in the direction of Tianhuang City. While he was traveling, he savored the complete training method for the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. The Skyfire 3 mysterious change was a peak-level secret technique of the Burning Flame Valley. However, the uniqueness of this secret technique also made it difficult for one to judge its class. After all, in the hands of some people, this secret technique was completely useless. However, in the hands of some experts, who possessed many types of powerful flames, the might that it could unleash would definitely be comparable to other D-class high-level secret technique. Luckily, Xiao Yan belonged to the second category. Being in possession of the Green Lotus Core Flame, Falling Heart Flame, and even the Bone-Chilling Flame, he was coincidentally able to unleash this Skyfire 3 mysterious change to its peak. It was just as Tang Hui'er had said. This kind of secret technique seemed to have been tailor-made for Xiao Yan. The simultaneous eruption of the 3 types of heavenly flame would definitely provide a terrifying increase in strength. Xiao Yan estimated that if he were to completely unleash it, it was likely that he would truly be able to fight head-on with even old demons in Fei Tian and Wu Qin class. He would no longer need to end up so miserable after having just endured for 10 exchanges in their hands. However, the energy that is created each time the Skyfire 3 mysterious change erupts is extremely wild and violent. This is even more so when all 3 changes are used. There is no telling what degree this wild, violent energy will reach. Even with the strength of my current body, it is likely going to be a little difficult for me to endure. An expression of deep thought flashed across Xiao Yan's face. After all, the flames inside his body were not ordinary. Instead, they were heavenly flames, the strongest of all flames. A Skyfire 3 mysterious change that relied on 3 types of heavenly flames as a foundation was likely something that no one, even in the Burning Flame Valley, had ever achieved. After all, even if they possessed the ability to find 3 types of heavenly flames, who would dare to place 3 types of heavenly flames within one's body at the same time without a mysterious chi method like the flame mantra? It looks like even if I completely master the completed version of the Skyfire 3 mysterious change, I should not use it easily. Otherwise, it will be quite harmful to my body. Xiao Yan softly sighed. Everything was full of advantages and disadvantages. These words were indeed true. Nevertheless, he was currently in possession of another trump card. When he fought with others in the future, the Skyfire 3 mysterious change would greatly shock everyone. Xiao Yan gradually pulled his mind back when he thought of this. His eyes looked into the distance. He could see the vague outline of a city located in the distance. I wonder how Lu Qing information gathering has proceeded in relation to the little fairy doctor. Her woeful poison body is indeed quite troublesome. After all, the reputation of this kind of poison body isn't very good. Hopefully nothing has gone wrong. Xiao Yan softly muttered to himself. After which, he increased his speed, transforming into a ray of light that flashed through the sky and rushed to the distant city. Xiao Yan's figure rushed into Tianhuang City through the sky before landing in the deserted western side of the city. He identified the direction of the Lu clan before walking over. It was 10 minutes later when Xiao Yan arrived outside the manor of the Lu clan. Before he could say anything after appearing, the couple of guards outside of the Lu clan manor's door hurriedly stepped forward. They inquired in an extremely respectful manner, "Are you Mr. Yan Xiao?" This scene caused Xiao Yan to be startled. Of course, he was unaware that there was currently an uproar in Tianhuang City because of his name. Everyone knew that the Lu clan had a young alchemist who had reached the 7th tier. Although Xiao Yan felt a little surprise in his heart, he still smiled and nodded. The respectful expression in the eyes of those few guards became even denser when they saw him nod. Their leader hurriedly got someone to go in and inform Lu Qing while he personally led Xiao Yan into the manor. Not long after he had entered the manor, Xiao Yan saw Lu Qing, Lin Yan, and some others hurrying over from the other end of the path. "You have finally returned. I thought that something had happened to you in the Burning Flame Valley." Lu Qing hurriedly stepped forward. He finally sighed in relief after seeing that nothing was wrong with Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan smiled and said, "I'm fine. It is just that I spent some time helping the Burning Flame Valley refine a medicinal pill. It is good that you are fine. However, recently my Lu clan has become much more lively because of you." Lu Qing spoke with a grin. "Why?" "Currently, many factions are aware that my Lu clan has a Tier 7 alchemist. Therefore, they have come with the intention of bettering relations and trying to establish a relationship with you, a young alchemist grandmaster. Tsk, an alchemist is really the most popular occupation. Lu Qing smacked his lips and spoke with an envious face. There are indeed quite a number who have arrived. Among them include some powerful factions. All of them want to see if you will become their honorary elder. There is no need for this honorary elder. I do not intend to stay anywhere and help people refine medicinal pills for a lifetime. Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. Yes, I knew that you wouldn't like it. Therefore, I found an excuse to reject them. If this matter is not done properly, it will cause others to bear a grudge. Lu Qing nodded as he replied. Xiao Yan smiled. After which, he directed the conversation to the main topic. Do you have any news about the matter that I informed you of last time? Lu Qing's expression had become much more serious when he heard these words. He led Xiao Yan and the others to a stone pavilion. Only after everyone was seated did he speak in a solemn manner. Yes, I have some news. Xiao Yan's attention was braced a little when he heard this. That Xiao Lan whom you have mentioned should be a member of the Yi clan in the Pill region. Moreover, her full name should be called Yi Xiao Lan. Lu Qing said. Yi clan. Xiao Yan muttered. His finger gently knocked against the stone table as he said, What is the strength of this Yi clan like? Quite strong. At the very least, it is far from what my Lu clan can compare with. Of course, being able to enter the elder's seat of the Pill Tower is not something that an ordinary faction could achieve. Lu Qing said, The Pill region is filled with all sorts of people. Many powerful factions on the continent possess a branch at that place. However, on the whole, there are 5 large clans related to the Pill Tower. The Yi clan is one of them. However, the current Yi clan is already declining. It has ended up as the weakest of the 5 large clans. 2 years ago, they even lost an elder's seat in the Pill Tower. If this continues, it is likely that they will remain the weakest of the 5 large clans and will sooner or later be replaced by other factions. Xiao Yan slightly tilted his head in acknowledgement. No wonder the Yi clan would send Xiao Lan to the Jia Nan Academy. Their situation had already reached such a stage. What requirements must one meet to enter the Pill Tower elder's seats? Xiao Yan inquired. Since he had promised to help Xiao Lan, he would naturally need to pay more attention to this aspect. Breaking his promise was something he did not wish to do. I am not too certain about this. However, the conditions should be quite harsh. After all, that is the Pill Tower. Moreover, one must possess quite a great amount of contacts within the Pill Tower in order to enter it. Lu Qing laughed bitterly as he spoke. Xiao Yan slowly nodded. This matter was not really urgent and could be slowly discussed. Immediately, he changed the topic and asked, Do you have news related to the little fairy doctor? Lu Qing hesitated for a moment after hearing this. Finally, he replied, Does the little fairy doctor you mentioned possess the rumored woeful poison body? Xiao Yan's heart tightened when he heard these words. He nodded and asked in a deep voice, What happened? I have dispatched quite a number of people to inquire about the news in the Pill region. Currently, the matter that was spreading wildly at that place is related to this little fairy doctor because she is in possession of the legendary woeful poison body. A strange constitution like the woeful poison body, whose name causes one feel fear, has appeared in the Central Plains before. Without exception, they cause great disasters. Originally, everyone thought that this kind of poison constitution had already been exterminated. Unexpectedly, it has appeared again. There was a fear between Lu Qing's eyebrows when he mentioned the woeful poison body. Where is she now? Xiao Yan softly asked. Perhaps it was because of the little fairy doctor's wretched background and her poison constitution, but Xiao Yan felt a special worry for her. Moreover, she had been following beside him during all these years. Regardless of what kind of danger he faced, she would not abandon him. She had already treated Xiao Yan as a good friend whom she could trust without reserve in her heart. Xiao Yan similarly understood all this. Hence, he had been thinking of ways to help her escape the pain of the woeful poison body. Xiao Yan would definitely intervene now that something had happened to her. I am also not certain about her exact location. However, there are quite a number of factions within the Pill region who are searching for her because they are all aware of what kind of a frightening thing this woeful poison body could create. Lu Qing understood a little as he looked at Xiao Yan's expression. Immediately, he mused for a moment before continuing, among these factions, the people from the Ice River Valley are the ones searching the most. Ice River Valley. Xiao Yan's expression changed when he heard this. That's right, based on what I know, this Ice River Valley has always been exceptionally interested in these special constitutions. They are perhaps searching for the little fairy doctor because they are interested in the woeful poison body. Lu Qing solemnly explained. Moreover, according to the information that has been acquired, the little fairy doctor has exchanged blows with the Ice River Valley's expert some time ago. Although she ended up fleeing successfully, she has also been badly injured. Otherwise, she would not have disappeared for such a long time. Lin Yan by the side spoke in a deep voice. Xiao Yan slowly nodded. His expression also gradually became gloomy. It was unexpected that such a thing had happened during this period of time they were apart. Ice River Valley. Xiao Yan tightly clenched his hands. A dark and ruthless killing intent flashed through his eyes. If anything happened to the little fairy doctor, he would get this Ice River Valley to pay the price with blood.